Genesis 12, verse 3, God says to Abram, and by extension to his wife Sarah, I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing to many. I think that is a major theme in Scripture. When I was a little boy, about 7 years old, my brothers and I would sit next to my mother on Sunday morning on the third pew. My dad was up in the pulpit. He was the pastor. And we would sit there and squirm through the whole service. There was no children's church in those days. And when the offering came, all three of us would turn to Mother and hold out our hands, and she'd pull out a nickel or a dime and give it to each of us so that we could take part in the offering. A couple of years later, when I got my own allowance, I was also given offering envelopes that were my own, and I was supposed to put my own nickel or dime in the offering plate, and that was hard. When I was about 12 years old, I remember some Sundays my father would hand me the family offering envelope on Sunday morning and say, put this in the offering plate, which I thought was a little strange because he sat closer to the plate than I did. A while later, I realized that he did this because he wanted me to know what our family was giving to the church. Now, I didn't know anything about family budget, but I could tell this was real money, a real gift. Years later, Marcia and I got married, and I went to my first congregation, became pastor, and we filled out a pledge card together. We were grateful for God's gifts, God's blessing, and we were glad to be able to take part in giving to the church. We understood that we were blessed to be a blessing. And of course, as a pastor, it is a huge help to have people express their intention to give for the year ahead, because it helps the leaders of the church plan for what is to come. I've now been retired about 10 years. We still fill out a pledge card, Marcia and I, and we are grateful for having made it now. We are 75 years old and still glad to be a part of the ministry of Christ, and now at Salisbury Presbyterian Church. We have been blessed. We want to be a part of the ministry of Christ in blessing others. I hope you will join Marcia and me in making a pledge to this ministry. Thank you.